Howdy, let's take a look at non-state government in Wyoming. Governments at the county municipal level. In all the counties in the state of Wyoming, you have the same type of government. The voters choose commissioners. Now the counties can decide whether to have 3 commissioners or 5 or even 7. But the point is the voters choose the commissioners whose job it is to make policy for the county resolutions and ordinances and perform a fiduciary function by oversight of how the taxpayers' money is being spent. Voters also choose a county clerk whose job it is to keep records, marriage records, title records, and to keep the paperwork involved in how the taxpayers' money is being spent. A county assessor assesses property values in the county and mineral severance taxes so that those revenues can be collected by property tax and property tax on those that are producing minerals. The treasurer takes money in from whether it be from grants or from state flow-through monies, but the treasurer is responsible for keeping track of the revenues coming into the county. Clerk of district court is his or her job to be the administrator and to keep the records for how cases are brought before district court. You have a county attorney whose job it is to advise the commissioners and other county department heads in matters of law and to be the prosecutor in cases before circuit court and possibly district court. And the voters also choose a sheriff, who of course is the chief administrator for the county mounties and is in charge of the county jail. I would say 80% of the towns, which are incorporated entities of less than 20,000 people, I would say that 80% of the towns in the state of Wyoming have what are called a council mayor type. Voters choose a mayor whose job it is to be the chief executive and to administrate the different towns departments. But the voters also choose a council. And again, it can be possibly 5, possibly 7 people. But the point is with the council, it's their job to make the town ordinances, the town resolutions, and to be a check on the mayor, since the mayor cannot spend money that belongs to the town out of the town budget without council approval. Some of the larger cities in the state of Wyoming have what's called a council city manager plan. Voters choose a council whose job it is again to take care of city ordinances, come up with city resolutions, be the legislative body for the city, but they choose a city manager, somebody who is a professional city manager, probably has a master's in public administration, and it's his or her job to run the city, to be the chief administrator. But the point is that the city manager serves at will at the discretion of the council. And at any time that they are not satisfied with his or her performance, that city manager can be fired. In some of the largest cities in the state of Wyoming, Gillette and Cheyenne are 2 that come off the top of my head. Voters choose a mayor and a council, choose a mayor for the executive functions, choose a council to be the legislative body, but the mayor is also the chief executive of the city administration, is the person who's in charge of the different departments, the water departments, sanitation department, what have you, and as such, a very strong mayor, since he or she is in charge of city administration, only has to look at the council for approval of his or her actions. Counties and cities and towns in the state of Wyoming are basically creatures of the state. It's a misnomer to think of counties and cities in the state of Wyoming as having the ability to do whatever they wish to do. Because they are creatures of the state, because they are wholly dependent upon revenues coming from Cheyenne, the state sales tax, the capital facilities tax for building capital construction, that they have to have the state's approval to put a capital facilities tax for, let's say, a new city hall or a new county building. Severance taxes on minerals, on trona, on coal, on gas. All those severance taxes are collected at the state level and distributed to the cities and counties. You have very limited local property taxes at the city and the county level. They're limited in how much millage they can levy on property. And because they're limited, they can't get enough money into their budgets. Some towns and cities have lodging taxes, and if they're out along the interstates, they probably have a lodging tax. But again, it's not enough to take care of their needs, and they're dependent upon the good graces of Cheyenne to get them money. Because you have in the Wyoming Constitution a point called home rule. Basically, the cities and counties can do whatever they wish to as long as they don't conflict with state laws and state constitution. But the cities and counties can't do what they wish to do because they have no means by which to collect enough money. They have special districts at the city and county level. They have what are primarily called joint powers boards. Those joint powers boards for water, for human services, for airports, as an example. These joint power boards take care of resolutions, take care of legislation in regards to specifically for things like water, sewer, and such, and perform an oversight over how money is being spent. You have planning and zoning boards about how property is developed, how it's set aside for residential or industrial areas, rural fire districts to take care of fire control, cemetery districts to decide how large cemeteries become and how they function, and conservation districts for water and land.